Hey folks, Logan Insco here, and you all know that I'm an expert on Elvis Presley. I do a bunch of research on Elvis Presley, and I am kind of so obsessed with Elvis Presley that I talk about him a lot at school. However, we all know that Elvis Presley died on August 16th, 1977. And every time I basically bring him up at school, people are like, is that the guy that died on the toilet, or how did he die? Well, I'm going to be answering some of your questions. Let's talk about, in today's video, what the last day of Elvis Presley's life was like. Well, basically, Elvis at the time was only 42. And on the evening of August 15th, 1977, the day before, he was getting ready for a concert the next day. And then August 16th came, and Elvis went to the dentist because he wanted to get his teeth cleaned and two fillings replaced before they went out for the tour. And then Elvis returns to his Graceland mansion, and then he goes to play racquetball with his cousin Billy Smith. And then him and his fiance at the time, Ginger Alden, go to bed. And yeah, because they were ready to go to bed because they spent most of the night awake. And so Elvis called for his stepbrother Ricky to bring him his package of medication to help him get to sleep, because he wanted to get some sleep, considering the fact that, like I said, he had a huge concert the next day. And so Elvis took the pills, but they don't seem to be working. He can't fall asleep. And so Elvis takes another package of pills, but even this doesn't help. He's wandering around his room trying to watch TV, read, but nothing helped. And now, here we're getting to the juicy stuff. You know what's a question I've wondered a lot about Elvis's death? What were the last words ever spoken by the King of Rock and Roll? Well, the last person to see Elvis alive and the person who heard his last words were his fiancée, like I said at the time, Ginger Alden. Ginger has gave us two hints on what Elvis's last words could be, because she wrote about them in a book she wrote called Elvis and Ginger. Elvis's fiancé and last love finally tells the truth. I haven't read the story yet, but I definitely want to. But in that book, she says that Elvis's last words may have been, "I'm going to the bathroom to read." Or she also said Elvis's last words could have been, after he says, "I'm going to the bathroom to read," Ginger tells him not to fall asleep in the bathroom, and Elvis replied saying, "I won't." However, she didn't know that he was gonna fall asleep forever, because, like I said, Elvis was struggling at the time after taking serious prescriptions of medication. A bunch of those medications had some side effects that spread through Elvis, and his most notable side effect was insomnia, which means he just could not fall asleep. But Elvis was desperate to get some sleep because he was so nervous. He always got nervous getting ready for a tour, and so he was desperate to get some sleep. And so, instead of just taking the medication to get to sleep, Elvis slipped out of the bedroom and headed for the bathroom to read the book. And Ginger falls back asleep, remaining asleep until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And when she woke up, she found herself alone in bed. And when she went to the bathroom, she saw Elvis face first on the bathroom floor. But also, what book did Elvis Presley bring with him to the bathroom on the last moment of his life? Well, that's easy. It was Frank Adams' A Scientific Search for the Face of Jesus, which was a book that was published 5 years before Elvis Presley's death. Now, the book is mainly focused on, we all know how Jesus Christ was the most important person to ever walk on this earth, but yet there's so much we don't know about him, like, how tall was he? What did he look like? That's what that book is mainly focused about, looking for research to look upon the face and body of Jesus after his crucifixion. And Elvis was actually a big fan of, and he was really into Christianity, and he would do meditation and breathing exercises, and he was even baptized twice while alive. Yeah, but here we go. Elvis's death was inevitable, and this is how he died. On the morning or the late afternoon of August 16th, 1977, Ginger Alden, Elvis's 20-year-old fiancée, finds herself alone in bed. She goes to the bathroom. She calls for Elvis, but there's no response. And so she calls his name again. There's still no response. And when she opens the door, she finds Elvis face first on the bathroom floor. Ginger even said that she touched Presley's skin and found it cold. And she even said, I slapped him a few times, and it was like he breathed once when I turned his head. I couldn't move him. And Memphis Magazine says that the body was purple or deep blue. And so what Ginger did was call a friend of Elvis's at the time, whose name was Joe Exposito, and he says, Joe, come upstairs, Elvis fainted. And so Joe rushes upstairs and saw Elvis on the floor. Elvis, like I said, fell from the toilet. And next to the toilet, there was a phone. And so Joe called for the hospital. It didn't have 911 at the time. And he says, we need an ambulance at Graceland right away. And he didn't say who it was. They just came. A lot of people said that Joe gave Elvis mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Joe did not give Elvis mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because he couldn't. Because he said his mouth was closed shut. And so the ambulance arrived, but it was already too late. Elvis was taken to Baptist Memorial Hospital. And then they had to do an operation on him. But then on 3:30, they came into the waiting room and they told Ginger and Joe the news. They said, Elvis is left. Elvis is gone. And he said, we all broke down and we all hugged each other. And it was a very difficult moment at the time. And here's the emotion it had on Elvis's hairstylist, Gary. So he says in Elvis, the Last 24 Hours documentary, he goes into Graceland, he pulls into the gates, and he sees Elvis's uncle sitting on the couch, and he says, Larry, do you know what just happened? And he was like, no, what happened? He tells him Elvis just died. And Larry says, wait a minute, what did you just say? You said Elvis died. And Larry says, I can't even begin to tell you the emotion it had on him. He even saw Lisa Marie, Elvis's daughter, walking around saying, my daddy's dead, my daddy's dead. And then he goes to hug Vernon, Elvis's father, and he's like, what am I going to do, Larry? And he says, you have to do Elvis's hair. You know how the way he would like to look? And he says, sure, I'll go right there, Mr. Presley. So he goes to the hospital, and he sees this room. There's a table. There's a body on the table with a sheet. And he walks in the room, and he says there was a silence for a long period of time. And Larry said, I just paused and I looked at that face. That beautiful, magnificent face. And he did Elvis's hair all white. And he took his brush and it kicked into Elvis's scalp. And one of the nurses had hair dye, black hair dye, thank goodness. And then a funeral was held for Elvis at his Graceland mansion. Over 230 people attended. And Larry, as they were about to close the casket, he paused it and he said goodbye, and the casket shut. And so, yeah, even though Elvis died almost 47 years ago, many people are saying that this is still not even a real thing. Some people even think that he's still alive today. Conspiracy theories include the fact that they say Elvis could have faked his death to escape public attention. But like I said, Elvis was suffering at the time due to a terrible diet consisting mostly of unhealthy foods like burgers, sneaking burgers into his room, and even in the bathroom. And of course, he liked his famous fried peanut butter and banana sandwich. So yeah, that is what the last few moments of Elvis Presley's life was like. And you're probably wondering, how do I know all this? Well, it's because I'm an Elvis Presley expert. I do a bunch of research just to get this news, and I watch documentaries of people around the time talking about their stories, and that's how I got this information. If you want to hear more fun facts about what were the last few moments of other celebrities' life, such as Kobe Bryant or Michael Jackson, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.